left, right.
Welcome to this episode of SipTalk. You might enjoy this one. It's a bit of a grab bag, a myriad of topics, but we do get into the new subscription fees your car manufacturer is about to be charging you on a monthly basis to unlock features like cruise control, horsepower, heated seats, air-conditioned seats, lane assist. So this is news to me in this episode, but James and I uncover it and get into it. Let me know what your thoughts are on this and the other topics we talk about. I'll see you on the other end. This is Sip Talk. Grab a drink and enjoy.
Of course, let's go.
Cheers.
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 All right, this is Sip Talk, episode 198. My name is Justin DiGiulio out of my basement in New Jersey, joined by James, the Boswell Boswell out of Charleston, South Carolina. James is a philosopher, a bartender, a retired professional referee, and most exciting of all, an accountant. James, how's the accounting?
Accounting's annoying, like usual. And I actually have a soccer game up in Greenville this weekend, which is going to be
4 hours?
3.5 or so. Yeah. It's like, dude, I'm driving. I'll be in my car 7.5 hours or so, maybe, to do a 2-hour soccer game.
I hope it pays well, but you can.
This one won't. I'll probably make like $200, and that's before like paying for gas and other crap. Like
So
I'll
this
probably net, like, yeah, I'll start out somewhere between like $200 and $215.
Oh boy.
Thankfully, it's a 3-day weekend, so.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Maybe are you gonna stay in Greenville, or you're instantly back to reality, back in Charleston after that?
I'm gonna be coming back to Charleston. I actually did think about like bringing like my bike up to Greenville and like and maybe doing a hotel and then riding around Greenville on Sunday and then heading back to Charleston sometime that afternoon. But in other great news, so I need to have my bike brought into the shop.
This is not the new bike.
No, new bike is about a month out.
I didn't think you had delivery for the new bike. So for those of you who are getting caught up, this is Sip Talk. We're having some drinks. We will soon be discussing top headlines and our opinions on what's going on with Biden, what's going on with Trump. We're going to talk about some sun tanning in the nether regions, and well, we're going to hit a myriad of topics. So in the meantime, right now we're catching up on James' recent bicycle accident. For those of you that don't know, James, we talked about this last episode a little
see
bit.
some of the markers from it.
James got a little road rash going on, so we're talking about that. Let me ask you right now, though. You got a cocktail? You got a drink with you?
Milwaukee's Best Ice.
Very nice. I got a little scotch on the rock here.
Yeah, it's basically like whatever, like the slush on the side of the road that they were able to collect, and then bottled it. And
oh, that's fair enough. So look. So you want to talk a little more about this bicycle accident?
well, I already talked about the bike accident. Like this is just like, so I wanted to go for a bike ride last night. I get a mile into the ride, and like I'm trying to use the shifters, and my right shifter just jams. Like it'll click, but like it won't move the gears or anything. I'm like, great, now I got to replace the shifters, and I've got a new bike coming in a month, so I don't really feel like spending $200 or $300 on new things for my old bike. But I also want to have a functional bike in reserve, just because.
Oh, so you're not selling this bike? You're gonna keep this bike around?
I'm gonna keep it as a backup in case something happens with the good bike, or if I ever have someone that I'm trying to introduce to cycling, I can say, "Here's a really good bike. You can get a feel for what it's like."
Minus the fact that it should shift.
Well, it's going to, because I'm going to have to order new shifters. I'm going to have to find, and like they don't make them anymore, so I got to go on eBay, got to order those, wait for them to come, make sure that they're good, then bring it to a shop and then pay them to install them, because installing shifters is a pain in the ass.
I can imagine. So look, let's hit some.
Let's start with the most important one. You hear about this new trend about vagina sunbathing?
No, that to me just sounds like bottomless sun tanning. Am I missing something on that?
I don't know. I haven't seen any of the videos, nor do I really care to. But
The videos sound phenomenal. I don't understand.
I would have to think. I would have to think that it's like not just nude sunbathing, but like actually pointing your vagina towards the sun, which sounds like you could go wrong in a lot of ways.
Where is this? The New York Post? Where did you come across this?
Apparently it's something that's been trending on the TikTok.
Oh, TikTok. You know,
although like 7 years ago, Gwyneth Paltrow was also promoting it. So I think as a general rule, if Gwyneth Paltrow or her company are promoting something, it's something you shouldn't be doing.
I mean, you can do it. I don't think there's gonna be much benefit from it. So
there's gonna be sunburn.
Well, the areas that get the least sun tend to burn the fastest, in my experience. So that's in the TikTok sphere. What you don't take? Yeah, I don't take you. Did you see what I tagged you on Twitter last week with?
No.
Oh, that's too bad. All right. Well, maybe we'll dig that up in a little bit. So, what else is leading the headlines? What is more maybe highline national news that we're missing here?
Before we get into the politics, so you see anything about California banning internal combustion engines by 2035?
So what I heard two things this week: that California is banning the sale of gasoline-powered vehicles in 2035. But I also heard in the same week that they don't want you to charge your electric vehicles during certain hours of the day. So they're kind of a.
So I'm not familiar with the second part of that, but the first part of that's accurate. And I think they're also doing like a phase down between whenever this law takes effect in 2035, where like every year the percentage of electric vehicle sales has to increase, where it eventually phases up to 100%.
Yeah, fair enough. And that would be a reasonable. But the thing is, we don't know the details. We know the headline detail.
Whoa. You want to wade through 300 pages of a legal bill?
I'm just curious how the phase up might apply to regular life, except it just being more difficult to buy a gasoline powered engine vehicle.
Yeah.
I don't like the electric vehicles, but I think really I'm not against them. I prefer to drive an older vehicle, but I just worry that by 2040, finding a gas station to refill my vintage car is going to be really, really tough to come by. That's my biggest concern.
So I'm kind of against electric vehicles.
Is it because of the rare earth minerals that are required to run these cars?
Well, that's actually part of it, is that the ethics of mining the metals that are needed for producing the batteries for these vehicles is really problematic. Like there's lots of unethical mining and like child labor in Africa to get these metals to make the batteries. So that's one for sure. Two is, this is a trend that's been going on for a while, but electric vehicles are going to make it way, way worse. And that's the ability to repair your own car.
Yeah, that adds a huge cost to ownership. Not only are electric vehicles way more expensive than their gasoline counterparts, now we can assume in 13 years that price is going to come down.
Yeah.
But they are expensive vehicles, and then the maintenance is almost a new science, right? Like there's the transmission is, I don't even understand how the transmission works, but I know that there's not multiple gears like you have in a regular vehicle. It's my understanding, at least. I don't know anything about how the cooling system works because I don't know if the battery expels heat. I do know that
it's just going to be air cooled, really. And does the battery expel heat? A shitload of it.
Well, I mean, I assume that it must, but not in the same way that you don't have the same cooling system that you do with a regular car. So I don't know the mechanics of it, but I do know that if I bought a gasoline powered vehicle tomorrow, there's a lot of aspects. There's a lot of different mechanical parts of that car I could repair. I'd have some learning to do, but I would be fluent in that language for the most part. However, it was a battery powered vehicle. I would open the hood and not even have any idea what I was doing.
Well, there's not really anything to look at
Well,
because like the vast majority of the machinery, like, so the advantage of electric vehicles is they're mechanically simpler because you've got basically a really powerful electric motor or multiple electric motors. So some of them have like electric motors that are just attached to the wheel, so you could have like a two motor system where you just have like one motor per axle, or you could have a four motor system where each motor powers a wheel individually.
I literally, you're just telling me something I've never even thought of. It totally makes sense. I never even thought of this. What vehicles are doing four motors per
Yeah, you
car?
just have one motor. You've got the battery in the middle, and then you just have cables that run out to each motor that power each motor. And so, in a way, that's kind of cool because you can really dial in traction control.
Yeah, that's what's kind of mind blowing about it. I didn't even think about this.
But yeah, there's less moving parts. But it's also like, yeah, this is all proprietary stuff, and that's the problem with like even gas powered vehicles right now is you just have all these companies making stuff where you need a special BMW tool to even like access certain parts of the engine. And you need like the special BMW software to even be able to pull the codes from the engine. And it just makes it so that if you're trying to do something on your own, it's virtually impossible. And you have to bring it to the dealership. And I hate that.
I mean, I've run into that issue with the Audi. The specialty tools, and it's not a brand new car, but the specialty tools required are very difficult. There was some weekends where I was going to 5 or 6 different auto parts stores and just tool stores trying to find the right parts for that car. So, new technology, not only do you need the specialty parts that have been in existence for the last 2 decades, these are specialty parts that are literally brand new.
So I'm gonna go even further. I don't know if you saw this headline, but BMW was trialing a subscription based model for features in a car where like you had to pay, I don't know, like $20 a month or something to have heated seats. No, the heated seats are already installed in the car.
Yeah, this is
You have to
terrible.
pay $20 to have the software unlocked to allow them to work.
Dude, everything wants a fucking monthly subscription fee. Fucking everything.
And
That's
like I know
sickening.
Toyota has been doing this with like a self-starting vehicle. So if you want to press the button to start the car while you're not in it or whatever, like Toyota's been
because
charging
it's all
subscriptions for that.
software. Because it's
Huh?
all software.
Yeah,
It's
but
all software control. I mean, it's all hardware, obviously, hardware base. I,
mhm.
I was just talking to a technology. The guy studies basically AI and its integration with whatever. And he was talking about how he's thinking about changing his major to be a kind of real estate as a second major because he's in AI and he's thinking about the application of AI prediction on real estate. And I said to him, how could AI have predicted the last 2 or 3 years of real estate in that far advance? But we started talking about how other applications for AI predictions. Um,
So
what we were talking about really was software versus hardware, and AI being now integrated. It's obviously AI is pure software, but how it's being integrated with hardware. That's
well, and
that's
that's the thing is there's all this bullshit where the cars already have the capabilities to do something, and you're just locking it behind software. I saw another one of an Audi where like if you wanted to pair your phone to the car so you could play music through your phone or something, that was a subscription just to have that capability unlocked. And
unlocked.
so,
It's there. It's a matter
mhm.
of unlocking it. That's
Yeah,
the
it's not like when you buy like the Corvette and you're choosing between like the base model or the Z06 that has the bigger engine, where like there's something different about the car. All these cars are the same. They're just charging more for some things that are already installed in the car. And so like all these manufacturers are just seeing dollar signs by being able to lock more and more features away. And I see electric vehicles as going to be even worse in that regard, because they're just, by their nature, they're more computer controlled. That means you can lock more shit away.
Let me ask you a question, just kind of separate from the vehicle conversation, but on the battery front, because we're going to have so much. We're talking about mining these minerals that are very rare type minerals.
Lithium and cobalt.
Yeah. That we don't have much application outside of batteries.
Real quick, CH87 is asking what you're drinking.
I am drinking scotch on the slowly melting rock. But
real quick, I want to answer Rash's question, because he says it's not that different from OnStar, like where you had like the roadside assistance and you could press the button stuff. The way I look at it is like OnStar, at least that connected you to a person, so the subscription that you had was paying for the people in the call center. So there was an actual cost to OnStar service that they had to cover somehow, because they were paying people to field your emergency calls and crap.
So Drunk on YouTube says, I saw a lithium mine on Twitter the other day. It's almost as destructive as an oil field. So, but the point,
if not more so, like, so, and I didn't even thought about like the environmental impact of all these mining. I was just thinking about like the labor practices, but like Drunk makes a good point. It's like, yeah, they're terrible for the environment too. Like, are electric vehicles better for the environment once they get up and running? Sure. But like the costs that you have to pay environmentally to get there are significant.
Well, these aren't, we're mining now batteries and, well, effectively the components of batteries. So lithium and whatever else at much, much greater, like, we were worried during the 70s, especially, so we would run out of oil. So I have not heard any of the estimates, any of the science behind how much of these rare earth minerals, right? That's what they're called, rare earth minerals, that we have. But I know that by name alone, they are rare. So, but what I was going to
lithium, not so much, but others very.
What I was going to say was, when was the last time you recycle? So you ever throw away batteries?
No, I actually, like, I try and bring them. There's a battery shop where that has like that. It's called Batteries Plus. All they sell is like batteries and crap. And so,
I've never heard of Batteries Plus. I've never heard.
Well, I don't know. It's a franchise down here, but there's one that's not too far from me. And when I need to get like specialty batteries, that's where I go. And they like accept old batteries. So I actually try and bring like any dead batteries I have, I try and bring to that shop whenever I need to buy batteries.
Let me ask you a question. So when I was going to say, I've never recycled batteries. Okay, I've never. I know you're supposed to. I just don't really know what you're supposed to do with it. That's one. But
I would Google where to recycle batteries.
But what do they do with recycled batteries? Is really kind of where I'm going with this.
Well, you can reclaim a lot of the elements inside of it, because like one of the ways that a battery, like lithium ion batteries, one of the ways that they'll go bad is just over time for them cycling. Like, they're not 100% efficient. And even if they're 99% efficient or 99.9% efficient, you're going to have some kind of, for lack of a better, like, this is not a scientific way of looking at it, but like, you can think about it like the metabolic processes of the batteries produce waste products that will eventually degrade the battery. And so, like, whenever you've seen those videos of like a lithium ion battery that's like all swollen up, like, that's hydrogen gas. And like you can watch videos of batteries exploding and stuff, and that's primarily like the heat from the battery igniting hydrogen gas. And so there's still lithium in there, but it's just you're getting it bogged down by too much crap. And so when you're recycling the battery, like, you'd be able to take it apart, and some of the waste products are just going to, I don't know, get flushed down the sewer or whatever they do. But there's mostly a whole bunch of good metal there. But you can think about it like when you're changing the oil on your car, where you have to just put in fresh oil, and like the metal in the engine's fine. And so but you've got bad stuff around it that as the oil gets used more and more, it just turns to sludge and eventually the engine will seize up. Kind of the same way with the battery, except instead of it turning to sludge, it turns to hydrogen gas that'll explode and catch fire in your pocket.
But the whole idea of we're creating these batteries, and I'm glad to hear that you actually recycle the batteries. I think that's great. I was not aware of much of the science behind recycling these batteries, but my concern is even like our recycling as a country right now is pretty piss poor. And like I'm just
curious. You need to make recycling profitable.
Well, how do you do that? Privatize it?
No, it's that the secondary market for recycling needs to be profitable, and I want to get to that in a second. But let's hit some of these comments.
What do we get for comments here?
Is like when he changes his car battery out at AutoZone, they'll buy his old battery back for like a couple bucks. So I bet you could probably bring car batteries to AutoZone, but there's probably places. I would bet that like your town dump has a recycling program for stuff like that. If you have any kind of like hazardous waste, like I know you can bring like old oil to like the dump and they'll charge you some disposal fee or whatever, but you can bring it there. So batteries are probably the same way. And then CH87 says, living in South Carolina, what do you think of the market now that Google and other companies are asking people to go back into the office? And I'm guessing he's talking about the real estate market.
I
think that you're going to see a lot of pushback on companies that have been remote for the last 2 years, asking people to come back to the office, because a lot of people. So if you worked for Google and you were in the Bay Area and you said, I don't need to be spending $4,000 to $5,000 a month in rent when I don't need to be at the office that's 5 miles away. So instead of taking that $4,000 or $5,000 a month that I was burning on rent, I can take 2/3 of that, put that towards a house, and buy a house someplace cheap and work remote. And so you've got a whole bunch of people that made real estate decisions, which is not obviously not a permanent decision, but it's a major financial hurdle to have to try and sell your home.
Long-term decision, yeah, it's a long-term decision.
Yeah, so you're gonna have a whole bunch of people who are like, I just bought a house like 2 years ago, and I really don't want to sell it. I'm happy where I am, and I've been able to work remote. So they're just be like, I'm not even in San Francisco anymore. I'm not coming back into the office. I will continue working from Tucson or wherever. And like. And he says, I asked because South Carolina was the top of the influx of people from Wall Street. So I don't know about what
I hadn't heard that.
Wall Street's like work from home policies are, because Wall Street is one of the most kind of traditional working environments where they, especially when you're starting out, they want you in the office 90 or 100 hours a week, and they want you there mostly because it's effectively professional hazing.
Well, that's kind of where I was going to go with that, though, is that if they're asking you to be in there for 90 hours a week and you have 1,000 people behind you willing to put in 90 hours a week, like that's your answer. Like, okay, you can go to South Carolina. If they call you back and you argue, they just have 1,000 people behind you. So I think there's going to be some companies that are that competitive that are going to get people back. But I also feel like there's a lot of companies that are going to say we're losing a lot of the best people. We get it. We got to.
Yeah, because there's going to be a lot of companies that see if Google's requiring their software engineers to be back in the office and the software engineers don't want to, and Google holds firm and says, you're coming back to the office, you're going to see a whole bunch of them quit. And then any smart hiring manager at a smaller software company is going to say, we got a work from home position with our company. See you're coming from Google. How would you like to work with us instead? Like, a
lot of
the talent will get hired.
Yeah, there's no question about that. Let me ask you: Should we? What are we still on vaginal sunbathing? Do we?
We can go back to
it. No, because some of these other things you got on here, I'm really curious.
I want to finish up with a thought on recycling, which is like,
okay.
So you were talking. I was talking about how you need to make recycling profitable, and when you've got something like batteries where you have valuable metals inside of them, like that's profitable because it's not that difficult to process the battery, and then you've got metal that is currently highly in demand. But when you look at something like paper or plastic, especially plastic, like it's really difficult to go through the process of sorting out all the different types of plastic and
Yeah.
then packaging it in a way that if you're a plant that makes plastic, so you either need to buy the raw materials to make new plastic, or you're going to need to get old plastic that you're going to then like melt down and purify and turn into new plastic. But
Well,
think about it.
that
How many different types of plastic are there? Like if you look at
well
the bottom of your bottle, it's
here
like 2 or 7 or 14 or whatever, right?
exactly, and it all gets
So,
mixed in together, which means it needs to be sorted at a
mhm.
facility.
And you got to pay somebody to do that. You can't. It's not easy to have a machine do that. And so, like
But also, go ahead, because I want
the bulk prices on plastic are super low. So when you're thinking about taking a whole bunch of like empty Pepsi bottles or something and putting them all together into a like crushed bale and then selling them to a recycling plant, like you need to be at least as competitive, if not more competitive, than the price of like raw plastic pellets or whatever.
well, so
Because why would you pay more for recycled stuff?
here's what I want to add to that, though, is that even though you're accumulating you have this influx of recycling material that's coming from the residential households, and you're sorting through it. I was talking to some people a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about how they recycle and how some of them rinse their cans and jars and bottles out. Some of them just think it's good enough just to throw in the recycling. And I was actually I was in a group of people that literally 3 different neighbors, 2 lived across the street from each other, 2 lived side by side, and they were talking about how like they just take the jar with the dirty tomato sauce and they just throw it in the bin. The next door neighbor rinses up their soda bottles. And what I said to them was, they're all going in the same garbage truck. So if it's soiled enough, like a lot of this stuff is just getting put into the actual garbage. It doesn't matter how hard you recycle. If your neighbor throws, whatever covered with kind of chicken grease and shit into their recycling and it all gets mixed in, it's all fucked. So I think what you're talking about, the cost of buying the already used material versus the cost of buying the raw material. Uh, the cost of buying the already used stuff, I don't know whether you're buying it like that and you're the one that's cleaning it and going through it, or if you're buying it after that's happened. But,
So
you
I
know,
sure don't know. I can say
I'm
that like when it comes to metal recycling, so like metal cans or like aluminum cans and stuff like that, that's still profitable because
Mhm.
metal is expensive. But like paper and plastic recycling is a real problem.
But also, if you're going to the grocery store and you're depositing can by can versus the garbage truck that picks up garbage bin full of cans along with your spaghetti sauce can and your refried bean can that's got fucking
Well, that all
refried bean.
gets sorted at the recycling center,
A lot of
and
it
some
just
of
gets
it's
thrown away.
automated.
A lot of it just gets thrown away though. And if my shit
That's
gets
true.
mixed in with my neighbor's shit, like it's all getting thrown away. The point
But
that I'm
they're
making
going to
though is
go through a cursory sorting process, and they've got machines that do a pretty good job of sorting some of the stuff. Like it's easy if you have just a full garbage truck full of random recyclable stuff. Like it's very easy to have a machine sort glass, metal, and plastic and paper.
yeah, that's already happening. But if it's contaminated because of your neighbor's supply, I just think the point that I'm making is I think we have a really inefficient recycling strategy in this country.
Yeah, but when it
But
comes to batteries, it's profitable because the metals inside the batteries are profitable.
if people are recycling their batteries, but I would ask anybody who's listening, give me a thumbs up if you actually recycle your AAA and D and C batteries. We got one person on here. I've set mine aside for, and that's you. I've set mine aside for months, and ultimately I'm just like, we'll just let me put this on the side of the recycling garbage can. Like I don't know
Yeah,
what
just
else.
have a jar for your batteries and like I don't know. But let's move on from electric vehicles because I could go on and on about how much I like. And ultimately, like, is it probably better for the planet long term? Yeah, but we've got a whole bunch of problems that we need to solve first. And I just think that like there are better like it's not solving the core problem, at least in this country. And the core problem is that we are way too car centric as a society. And if you can
Yeah,
have better public transportation, better rail, and better city design so that people don't need to drive wherever they're going, then that's going to have a bigger impact on climate change than like changing the types of vehicles that we drive. And a lot of it's attitudinal, as I told you. Like, you remember when we lived at our apartment in South Carolina, it was about like a 200 or 300 foot walk to the postal center. And I couldn't tell you how many times I saw somebody get into their car to drive to pick up their mail and then drive back to their
I don't.
apartment.
In retrospect, I said last time I think I just drove there, but in retrospect, I really you couldn't drive up to the mailboxes. So now I'm thinking about it.
There are like 2 parking spaces directly in front of there, and like you could double park if you were going to
Yeah,
be
but
there for
that was
like 15
also
seconds.
60 feet from the front of our building, so it wasn't that far away.
No, we didn't have to like it was 2 minutes for me to walk there and back.
Hmm. So look, let's hit the next topic here because I'm really curious. We're talking about kind of high. What's the word I'm looking for?
Oh,
We're talking
real
about
quick,
new
since we're still on the
headlines.
topic, like this one's a quick one. Have you seen the video of the safety test that they did for like these like full self-driving vehicles? They had like an Audi, I think they had a Toyota, and they had a Tesla, and they
I've
set up this
heard.
like child-sized mannequin. And so, it'd be like maybe 200 feet for the car to accelerate, and
Mhm.
then like the car would have to stop before hitting the mannequin. And like you see the Audi get going and it gets up to maybe like 30 or 40 miles an hour, and then like it jams on the brakes and stops before hitting the mannequin. The Tesla just plows right the fuck through it.
must have known it was a mannequin with superior technology in the Tesla.
Yeah,
Oh man,
but
I have not seen that video. But that's how far we have to come. Like that's actually I was talking to this guy that does AI, and he's trying to figure out what he knows all the mathematical mechanics of how AI works, but he's trying to figure out what direction he wants to take his career with his AI background. He was thinking he was at a real estate event, but he was thinking about pursuing real estate. I was like, dude, I feel like there's a lot more physical applications you could pursue.
I don't know how you would really use AI to try and make money in real estate.
It's just all predictions, and to me, it's you're basically you're not programming anything more than what somebody already
Right,
has
and I look at like
intuition
if
for.
you're trying to use AI to make money on real estate, that's not too far removed from trying to use AI to pick winning stocks.
Yeah, well, that's
And
and what I told literally in my conversation. I was like, look, they already use AI for the stock market, and really, what it comes down to is whether you're on the 13th floor or the third floor, and really the length of the wire, what's transmitting the signal.
for the high frequency trading firms, they'll pay like $1 million a year just to have like a tenth of like a couple millisecond less latency on their trades.
Yeah, so basically, the signal travels through the wire to plug that trade in, and if it's a shorter wire, it gets there sooner.
Yeah. You'll have some firms that'll buy office space directly across the street from like the New York Stock Exchange, just so that way they have like the lower travel time of their fiber optic network that is hardwired into the NYSE. That's what you're competing against.
Yeah, exactly. So AI is not like the AI is already that fine tuned that we're actually like trying to reduce the distance between. All right, so what I see the video that Tesla is on here.
Yeah, you should watch it. It's short. Just click on it.
I don't know if I can. Let me see if we could show this with a shared screen here. That's a little of my
Yeah, I'm gonna
concern.
pull it up just because it's worth watching again.
All right, let me. So we get this video of a Tesla crashing into a child dummy. A crash test dummy.
What I love is that like it doesn't slow down one bit until after it hits the kid.
I must have detected a crash here.
Right.
All right, let me see if I can get this on. It's just I got fucking 3 screens over here with 1,000 windows open. So let's see what happens. Can you see on my screen what we have on?
Hold on, I was too busy watching the Tesla plow into a kid. Yes,
Well,
I can see it now.
that's what I'm trying to watch. Just you can see literally there's got to be 40 fucking windows open on my computer. Which is why we talked about how I need a new computer. So if you just want to help me with that, I would. And by help me, I mean you just tell me what I need to get and send me the links.
Newegg.
Yeah, I know. Why is this taking so long? I don't even know what else to close on my computer.
All right. So while we're waiting for that video to load, let's see. What are the other topics that you like? We got a whole bunch left. What do you want me to hit?
Oh, hold on. I think we got some in there.
There we go.
I might have to pause it though because it's going. Let me let it.
Oh, buffer.
Wait, it's definitely got a buffer first, but I
Just hit play now. It should be good.
I can see the small child on the left. Let me see if I can rewind it. This is gonna be good. Fuck.
I got one more dumb thing about electric vehicles after this.
All right.
Because I'm not done.
Okay. I'm gonna just minimize this window and see what happens. Let's see if I can get this together. Tesla crashes in a child dummy as auto brake test fails. All right. Oh. Oh, and that's a Lexus. The Lexus came to a screeching stop. Oh wow.
Well, the Tesla came to a screeching stop too.
Here, what? Here goes again. Here goes again. All right. There goes the. Oh.
Yeah, that kid is definitely dead.
Yeah, no, yeah, he's donezo, man. Oh god, he got crushed by the fucking car. It looked like a little kid in a hoodie.
Mm-hmm. So the last thing I have to say about electric cars that's going to be a huge problem is, do you know what the single biggest factor in terms of so we all know about roads degrading, right? Think about how many potholes we hit when we were in New York.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So you know what the number one contributor to road wear is?
Weather, like cold and heating and cooling.
No. Well, no.
Electric vehicles.
No. It's vehicle weight. Vehicle weight.
Okay. All right. I was not aware of that.
Yeah.
But...
I mean, the harder you have the tires pressing down into the pavement, the more it's going to wear away, and it scales exponentially. Where if you have something that weighs twice as much, it'll wear 4 times as much, right?
Oh wow, I was not aware of that.
It might not be exactly 4 times, but it's something where it's not a linear relationship where something that weighs 1 ton will do 1 times the amount of rate, and something that weighs 2 tons will do 2 times the amount of rate.
I don't understand that, and it doesn't necessarily seem logical, but I'll buy it, for the sake of just.
Yeah, I don't know what the exact what the exact ratio is, but basically, the more you weigh, you will exponentially do more damage to the road. And so the problem with electric vehicles is that for a similarly sized vehicle, so take an electric sedan versus a gas sedan, or an electric SUV versus a gas SUV, the electric vehicle weighs considerably more. By 30
because the weight of the battery.
Yeah, because the batteries are heavy as shit. And the problem is, most of the ways that states and cities pay for maintaining their roads is through what?
I'm guessing it's not tolls. I have no idea though.
Gas tax.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Also, something I was not aware of, but I suppose that makes perfect sense.
You're going to have tolls in some places, but for example, like in South Carolina, there's virtually no toll roads. How do we pay for our road maintenance in South Carolina? Gas tax, which is fine. Um, However, if electric vehicles aren't using gas, then they're not paying a gas tax, and they're contributing much more to road wear. So, like the new Hummer that's coming out, the new electric Hummer. Do you know how much that thing weighs?
1.5 tons. I have no idea. I don't know what a normal Hummer weighs, but I'm sure it's a
The
lot.
new Hummer coming out weighs over 9,000 pounds.
Holy fuck.
Um,
Holy.
like the old Hummers, like the H2s or whatever, were like between like 6,000 and 7,000 pounds. So they weren't light, but this is still 2,000 pounds more than that. Like your Audi
Yeah.
probably weighs like 3,500 to 4,000 pounds.
That would have been my guess. Yeah.
Um, so, but like if we look up like what's the Tesla Model Y?
Is that the weird quasi hatchback sedan?
Maybe
The
I don't
one that
know.
was in.
No,
Yeah.
the
It's
Tesla
not.
Model Y is just like a normal looking sedan. So
Right.
5,300 to 5,700 pounds. So about 2,000 pounds more than what your Audi is, and it's similar dimensions. So that's just a lot of wear on the roads. And how are we like? States are going to have to find some way of charging electric vehicle owners because they're not paying for road maintenance in the traditional way, which is the gas tax.
Oh, wild. Even when you said that, it didn't occur to me. So that is insane. So how does that work?
Well, they're going to have to figure it out.
Well, that means more tolls, is my guess.
It might. Um,
Did we talk last week about the congestion charge in New York City? How they're going to start charging people depending on what street they drive below, basically. The further south you go, the higher the congestion charge is for your vehicle is measured by license plates and toll.
yeah.
The toll.
So London's been doing this for a while.
I was not aware of that in London. But all that I saw about it, every like Instagram, Twitter, anybody I see talking about it that is pro congestion tax is a New York resident who's under 25 years old, which to me means somebody who grew up in New York City, doesn't have a driver's license, and does not drive, which also to me implies somebody who doesn't understand how New York City works.
Well,
Yeah, if you live in a $2 million condo and you're frustrated with traffic, like how do you think you get your groceries? How do you think the people that commute in to take care of this or take care of that? It's just
well, the idea is
cost
to discourage that. So instead of having people driving into the city, they drive to outside the city and take a
I
subway or something in.
fair enough, discourage that all you want, but these people now have to spend more money, and it's already an expensive place to live if you don't own and are able to afford a $2 million condo. So the idea of a congestion tax, I thought kind of that's what the tolls were there for. You're already charging 15, 16 $16. I don't even know what the fucking tolls are, but you're charging at least $15 a toll just to get into the city. So adding congestion tax, I mean, it's not cheap. It's like another $20 depending on where you go in the city. To me, seems a bit excessive.
So CH87 says Connecticut and other states have a car tax. So, like in South Carolina, I have to pay an annual property tax on the vehicles that I own. And it's based on the value of the car. So, like, my cars aren't all that expensive. It maybe cost me $150 a year to keep my cars on the road. But I've seen some vehicle property taxes of like 800 to $1,000 a year. But that's not based on the weight of the vehicle. That's based on the state assessed value of the vehicle, and that's just done based on like the model year and the make.
I don't know about New Jersey having a car tax. I know I paid a sales tax on the car. I know it needs to be inspected every year.
So
So
it depends because like I know in New York you pay sales tax on the vehicle and you pay it once. In South Carolina, you don't pay sales tax on the. Well, if you're buying it from a dealer, you don't pay sales tax. But like when I bought a car in New York from a private party, Like when I went to the DMV, I had to pay sales tax to the DMV for the amount of the sale, and that was marked on the title, and the guy sold it over to me. Now
Yeah,
in
that's
South
literally the
Carolina,
same.
when I've bought cars privately in South Carolina, like I didn't have to pay sales tax at the DMV. I just had to pay the registration fees. But every year I have to pay property tax on it.
Yeah, so no, New Jersey works the same way as New York. You got to pay like some.
So you guys get like one kind of big upfront fee, whereas in South Carolina
Yeah.
it's smaller, but it's every year.
I think the smaller amount seems way more manageable from just a private individual perspective, but is what it is. That's at this point, that's the cost of ownership, and there is no shortage of people driving cars in New Jersey. I can tell you that. Can we talk about this mascot thing? And we'll say hi to Mark and David. So, but I'm
The
curious about
mascot
this.
thing, I don't know. This is not really news. This is more just like a conversation I had with my roommate. But like
Okay.
the Charmin bear. Think about how weird a mascot that is.
I've actually thought, I don't know about, I didn't think about the bear being the mascot, but I thought about their delivery of you want your asshole clean of shit and the way that they convey that to an audience.
Well, it's also like I guess like does a bear shit in the woods?
But
But they
having a bear as a mascot for anything other than like mauling people and like just how you've taken this animal and made it into an animal that wants a clean asshole,
yeah,
right?
like, or I guess like as porridge. Like if you had porridge, maybe a bear would be a good mascot.
Are the Charmin bears like are they, what color are the Charmin bears?
Brown?
Oh, I thought they were like a light blue. They're brown, the brown bears?
I don't know. Let's find out.
You do it on your computer. So what color?
Depends. I'm seeing red, brown, and blue.
So I thought they were blue, but I just think
all over the map.
this
Blue is not incorrect.
the language that they use is they do their cha-cha-cha Charmin, and they got like the little kid talking about using the in the way they refer to like wiping your ass. Like they use kind of all this they use this language that kind of circumvents like the actual idea that you're just cleaning your asshole with a piece of cotton paper.
Yeah. It's just a weird mascot because like I just have to wonder how they came up with it. Whereas like I don't know, when my roommate brought that one up, I thought about the mascot for Brawny paper towels, right?
Okay, so paper towels.
So you know what their mascot is?
Is lumberjack.
Yeah, like
right?
this burly looking lumberjack, and it's like that's super honest, man. Like how do we make this paper towel? We're clear cutting this whole forest. Here's the guy who did it.
I missed me completely. I'm thinking Brawny, like this brolic motherfucker, like he could withstand the test of time. Not like we have a lumberjack who chops down trees and our product is made of trees. My mind literally did not go there whatsoever.
I think your initial interpretation is how they want it.
Yeah, no, you're completely right. You're completely right. I think they want it to be this kind of strong. Let me look. So I use the two words brawny and then brolic. But have you heard the term swole? SWOL?
Yeah, like 10 years ago.
I hear it all the time.
Yeah, when I was a substitute teacher, the high schoolers would talk about it after they went to gym.
Yeah, saying they were swole.
Yeah, so
which means,
this was
you know
cool
what that
for
means, right?
16-year-olds in South Carolina.
But
10 years ago.
I still hear. Well, yeah, I don't hear it. I guess I actually probably haven't heard it in a while. But swole is short for swollen.
Yeah.
Which means like you look like you get stung by a bee.
Yeah. No, I never thought it was a really. I didn't understand how it caught on.
But just the kind of the mispronunciation of the word swollen and you look swollen.
Yeah,
you look brawny, man. You look brawny. Brawny is a word that actually I don't think I've ever heard outside of maybe when I was a kid. I heard it somewhere, but brawny would be what?
Like an adjective? Muscular.
Yeah, it would be an adjective.
Yeah, like if you describe somebody as brawny, like you'd think of someone that's like muscular and well built, which like the lumberjack on their package is.
When was the last time you heard this word brawny ever used outside of a proper noun.
I've heard it it's not super common.
I can't actually think of a time that I've ever heard it. Not that's clear in my memory.
Probably the only time I've heard it used was when like somebody wanted to flex their vocabulary.
I don't exist in those circles, so unless they're swole.
Big words hard.
Yeah, I mean, we could actually do a whole episode on just weird mascots. That could be a fun one to do.
Yeah, I looked up a couple others. Like I thought about making that the whole episode, but I kind of ran out of material, so I just wanted to talk about those two.
Well, I mean, can you think of any other? Like, I can think of the Geico is the one that comes to mind right off the bat.
The Taco Bell Chihuahua, when you think about it, was pretty weird.
Is he still around?
No, they bagged him in 2000. I did the research.
I think we really need. So we've changed a lot in terms of advertisements, because if you think back in the 50s and 60s, it was about having like a slogan. You want to be this household thing, and then for a while, like think about like the 80s and 90s. What 80s was and 90s style advertising. And then 90s, 2000s, you had like the logo, you had the kind of goofy stuff. I would say 2010 to now, more so, is kind of getting back to that lifestyle, but also like the influencer.
Yo, I would love to do an episode on the history of advertising.
I'd like to get somebody who's got some experience in advertising. But let me ask you, would you agree that that's kind of where we are now, kind of this influencer? But the thing is, like when I podcast commercials, and James, I'd love to tell you a little bit about my blinds. I know how much you hate that early morning sunshine. Well, here in New Jersey, we really invest in these great blinds, and it has made a huge difference in my life. I'd like to share with you blinds folio.
Yeah. What's great is like
how they're now segue into it, but you're like, oh fuck, he's really just selling some bullshit.
So
all right,
I watch a lot of YouTube videos during the day to keep myself entertained during lulls in the mortgages. And what I love is being able to just like skip through those ads. So like they're like, and now let's talk about our sponsor. And I'm like, all right, cool. Let's go forward 2 minutes and get back to what I wanted to actually hear.
Well, so there are the YouTube commercials that you have to listen to 5 seconds of, and then you can skip. And then there are the 10 to 12-second ones that you must endure.
I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the ones where like it's the like content creator themselves saying like, and now a word about today's sponsor.
Oh, so those are the ones that, I mean, we should probably be doing these.
No.
But and I'm sure they probably pay pretty well. But the nice thing is knowing how long the spot is. So I know the podcasts that I listen to like have either 60-second spot or 2-minute spot. So I know how many times to tap the 30-second forward button. I think we're pretty much on the same page. All right. So I got 7.5 minutes left. We're running low. So if you know how much more you got to invest to hear us out in this episode, you got 7.5 more minutes. It'll be a struggle. But
I kind of want to talk about this one just because it was a conversation I had with my brother today, and I want to get your opinion on this. But among many other things, I think Trump might actually be the dumbest person on the planet.
I'm sure he's not the dumbest person.
No, I really think he is.
I'm curious what
because when you think about like traditional measures of intelligence, and I'm going to use the word retarded here, not in a disparaging way, but to talk about like mentally retarded people, like I don't actually think that mentally retarded people have the same penchant for self-harm that Trump does. Because if you look at like the way that he has handled this latest like search of his property in Florida and the seizing of the documents and everything, basically anytime he has said something, he has made the situation worse for himself. Because he says something and then the DOJ has to respond, and their tone is basically, we weren't going to share this because like it's part of the investigation, but since you've mentioned it and made it public, well, now we're going to comment on it. And their comments are always like, well, now it looks worse for you. And this has happened like 4 or 5 times in the last 3 weeks where Trump says something stupid. And then the DOJ says, here's why what Trump did was dumb and illegal, and we wouldn't have said anything about this if Trump didn't run his mouth.
The issue with this, I don't think he's the dumbest person on the planet.
Who is?
But I mean, probably somebody in like Cambodia who can't communicate. That's probably a guess. But I think it really depends on your news source, especially with this current investigation, the Mar-a-Lago raid. The way that I think about the Mar-a-Lago raid is, I think it would be great if it produced something, but
It already has.
It produced something that goes anywhere. The last 4 times we had investigations on Trump, it went nowhere. And did they dig shit up? Yes. I mean, the fact that he was in a TV van saying "grab him by the pussy," like that should have done it. So the point is he really that dumb, or are his adversaries equally, if not more, dumb or incapable?
Well,
so if this can go somewhere and incapacitate him as a political player, I'm open to like having a conversation about that. But in the meantime, while we make a 4th attempt at trying to get something, and whether he's smart or not, it's kind of like the kind of catching a chicken in a coop. Like, the chicken is not intelligent, but like it's very fucking difficult to catch.
Yeah, I also look at this as, for like easily the 3rd or 4th time, the GOP is presented with an opportunity where they can wash their hands of this guy, and they're not doing it. Because the first time, I would say, would be the grab him by the pussy comments. I would say, like, there's many more, but like I'm thinking of 4 off the top of my head. So 1, grab him by the pussy. 2, his first impeachment. 3, his second impeachment. And 4, what's happening right now.
It literally went nowhere. I feel like I just think it was very mishandled and just almost extremist. And this is where you people out on the extreme end, and it just came from too extreme of an end. If you had more middle ground that was going after him, that was fine.
I think that's what you're seeing right now, is like, you've got something where these documents were illegal to have. We have proof that he had them. Not only do we have proof that he had them, we asked multiple times for him to give them to them, give them to us, and we asked nicely and like without criminal threat, and just said like, "Hey, can you give this back to us?" And multiple times he said that he didn't have them. We have sworn statements from his lawyers saying that they didn't have them. And then when we went and searched the property, we found them. Here's a picture of them. Here's the markings that show they're classified, and like.
Yeah, I understand. Literally, he's like, "There's nothing there," and the files say classified on the front of the.
Right. Not only did we find them, like, they were in his desk. They were in the same drawer as his passport. So you can't say, "Oh, I didn't know they were there." Like, somebody else must have just put them there. Because like one of the excuses was like the White House movers must have just grabbed the wrong boxes. Well, how'd they end up in your desk?
But here's where this goes, where it just doesn't work against him, is that they review the files. And it's just like classified, copies of fucking lunch menus or some shit.
Doesn't matter.
But it does matter, because ultimately, it
doesn't even matter if they're classified.
Look, here's where you're right and you're wrong. They're just going to give up. They're just going to give it up if there's nothing there, right? Like, they're not going to prosecute back. They're not going to ban him from running in another election if he's got copies of lunch menus. Now, if he has the nuclear codes, or, some shit like that, then yes. But the issue is that we hit another dead end where the people that are attacking him and trying to bring him down are doing so effectively, rightfully so. But it doesn't gain any traction because nobody thinks that it's worth giving.
Give this one 2.5 months, and I think you'll be changing your tune. Because
I'd like to see it go somewhere. I'm not, but I I don't think it's going to.
All right,
So,
we got 30 seconds before we have to go out and suntan our vaginas. What are we doing?
I'm finishing my drink. How about you?
I'm going to finish my beer and then try and summon the motivation to go for a run.
Damn, it's fucking 11 o'clock at night. Enjoy your run. I want to thank everybody for joining us. We actually got kicked off of TikTok tonight for saying something we shouldn't have said.
What was that?
It said inciting violence. I don't know. I didn't read the whole thing. I'll share a screenshot with you. Wild. I don't think we did, and we don't endorse hurting anyone or grabbing them by the pussy. So on that note, adios, everyone.
All right, later.
All right, you made it this far. If you have not already, don't forget, subscribe to this podcast, comment on the episode, like the episode. Any interaction you do helps us, and we do appreciate it. I'll see you next time. Thank you.
I like PBR. I just got priced out of it.